Good morning and welcome to the D&J Seeds Winter Agronomy Update number 4. We'll dive right in. So last week I sent out the first part of this presentation on our soybean seed treatments covering our base premium products, and today I'd like to spend some time to talk about our additive products that are available to go on top of our base seed treatment offering. So these are add-on products that are only available in conjunction with the fungicide insecticide package. So before we dive into a ILeVO seed treatment, I want to take some time to talk about sudden death syndrome, or the disease we're going to try to control with ILeVO. So sudden death syndrome, or SDS as it's more commonly called. So this fungus is in most Minnesota and Iowa fields. It affects very early within the plant's life cycle. You won't actually see the leaf symptomology unless we get the appropriate rains in August that'll bring that toxin up from the roots into the leaves. It does overwinter in corn kernels. Management options, and we're going to talk about some white mold and SDS today. And I really want to stress that for both of those two diseases, variety selection is the #1 management option. So if you're going into high disease pressure situations, variety selection should be your #1 tool to mitigate those two diseases. For SDS, also improving field drainage, reducing compaction, reducing SCN level. We'll probably hit on this a few more times this winter when we talk about soybeans, but this is becoming a much larger deal than it has been in the past. We're seeing SCN levels climb across the Midwest, and really a lot of value in rotating to Peking source SCN resistance. If you look at a seed catalog, especially a Pioneer one, and you look down the line, and any of the Peking source SCN resistant soybeans typically have a higher score for SDS. And last but not least, what we're going to spend the most time on today is ILeVO seed treatment. So some other quick facts about SDS. Conditions favoring SDS: low, poorly drained, compacted areas. The life cycle, it enters the roots early in the growing season. Infection is facilitated by soybean cyst nematode, insect feeding. The fungus colonizes the soybean root system, and you can actually see these bluish fungal colonies that attach to the root long before we see any foliar symptoms. And just to emphasize, foliar fungicide is not an effective control of SDS. So ILeVO seed treatment's what we're here to talk about for control of SDS. A lot of times when I try to explain what ILeVO does or how it improves the SDS score, I think of it as improving the SDS score, what you have in the catalog, 2 points. So this variety A, in the catalog would score a 3. Adding ILeVO to it, I think, bumps it to a 5, in my opinion. Variety B here with a SDS score of a 6. Adding ILeVO, I would say, will bump that score to an 8. So you can actually see variety A with the SDS score of a 3, adding ILeVO to it gets it to 50.9 versus the SDS score of a 6 without ILeVO is 48.6. When should I use ILeVO seed treatment? So I put these points together really not as for you to take 1 point and then use ILeVO on all your acres because of that. What I'd like you to do is just kind of go through each of these points, and if you have a field or variety that hits a couple of these, maybe give me a call and we'll discuss it. It's really a field by field, variety by variety decision. But these are just a couple of quick points to help steer you in the right direction. So soybean varieties scoring a 4 or less, trying to improve that score, 2 points with the addition of ILeVO. Early planting, we do know that the disease sets in more vigorously when we have that seedling is in cold, wet conditions, which usually occurs when we have early planting. Soybean varieties that are not peak king, so that goes back to the soybean cyst nematode resistance issues. Known high levels of soybean cyst nematode are fields that are poorly drained with compaction and a history of disease. So just quickly, this photo actually I took, this is in eastern Faribault County. So this is the same variety on the right and the left. The only difference is ILeVO seed treatment. So it does make a big difference, increasing those scores up 2 points. So ILeVO has been around for, I think Pioneer's been testing it for 9 years now. It's been available in customers' fields for 6. There are some other products out there that do have some control of sudden death syndrome. So this is a trial ran by Pioneer this last year, comparing ILeVO seed treatment and Saltro, which is a new ChemChina or Syngenta product for sudden death syndrome control. So one thing we know with ILeVO is it does control sudden death, but also it does control cyst nematode. So you can look at the results here. So in areas or locations where they had medium pressure or greater, the ILeVO treated Pioneer soybeans outperformed the Cruiser Max Vibrance plus Saltro seed treatment by 1.1 bushel. The addition of ILeVO to our base seed treatment improved it by 1.8. We looked at locations with high SDS pressure, and the ILeVO outperformed the Saltro by 0.7. So I think the Saltro probably has good control of SDS, but not as good a control against the cyst. So when you talk about ILeVO, a lot of people like to talk about or mention this halo effect. So the halo effect, it's not really consistent. Some years you see it, some years you don't. I haven't really pinpointed it to certain varieties, but what it is you can see this brown edge that's on the cotyledons of the soybean plant, and it kind of looks like almost like PPO injury, but it's caused by the ILeVO seed treatment. So and that can be it's purely cosmetic, and it really doesn't cause any type of yield issues or stand establishment issues. So actually you can see they tested that in this same trial, across 76 sites, and this is the difference in yield of the Pioneer soybeans treated with the addition of ILeVO versus the Pioneer soybeans with Cruiser Max Vibrance and Saltro. So even where the halo effect was present, the ILeVO still outperformed the Saltro by 0.7 bushels, and was about 1.9 bushel over our base seed treatment. They also did measure, almost all the sites had SCN pressure. 11% of them had extreme, 24 high. So ILeVO seed treatment, it's been around the block. It's been tested and trialed for 9 years. It's been available to customers for 6. Really a proven product that's been planted on tens, if not hundreds of thousands of acres in the Midwest. One thing I will mention, it is available in 2 different rates, so that can get a little tricky if you're trying to compare pricing or something like that. But the reduced rate only controls soybean cyst nematode. The higher rate controls cyst nematode and SDS. If you have any questions about ILeVO or adding ILeVO to what your seed treatment offering or what you've been treating in the past, please reach out to me. It's really a field by field, variety by variety discussion, because it is a significant value added investment. But if you have SDS and SCN pressure, it has a very good return on investment. So for the spring of 2021, we'll be offering for the first time a white mold protection system. So in this protection system, it's two parts, the Tripidity ST and the Heads Up. So the Tripidity ST is a micronutrient package as well as a balanced ratio of hormones to help stimulate early growth and vigor. So the micronutrient component contains phosphate, chelated manganese, boron, chelated iron, and zinc. And then the hormone part is cytokinin, gibberellic acid, and butyric acid. So really to go along with the Heads Up to help stimulate early growth and vigor. So the Heads Up is what we're adding for white mold suppression or control. So it's a really unique product. It's not an active ingredient against the disease itself. It's a different mode of action known as systemic acquired resistance. So what that does is it activates the plant's own genetic resistance to disease, and it stimulates the plant's natural defense pathways to the disease. So really a different type of product that should help us control or reduce some white mold in some of these high pressure fields. When should I use the white mold protection system seed treatment? So a lot like SDS, variety selection is your #1 prevention against white mold. But if you have to choose soybeans for other characteristics other than white mold tolerance, variety scoring a 4 or less, I would consider using this product. Fields with the disease history, so 2021 odd year, we typically see more disease pressure in the fields that are rotated in odd years. One year, I don't know how many years back, but we must have had a really bad white mold year and an odd year. And now we've been on a rotation where we have a lot of buildup of white mold in those fields. Fields with high fertility, either from commercial fertilizer or manure, hog manure or cattle manure. If you can't use other white mold control practices, and they're just not possible. One thing I will say is do not use this as your only control or suppression method for white mold. I don't want to go into a really severe white mold situation with a very poor scored white mold soybean and just add this product thinking it's going to be completely resistant to white mold. What we're looking to do with this product is try to increase that score 1 or 2 points, similar to the ILeVO against SDS. Once again, any questions, feel free to reach out to me. These two products have a lot of promise, and I think used properly will have really positive return on investment. If you have any specific questions, like I said, these products are very much a field by field, variety by variety decision. So please reach out to me and we'll put a plan in place for this spring. Thank you.